welcome to a new year with What Have You. I'm Rachel Jankovic.
I'm Becca Merkel.
Let me tell you what you missed. We've already
1 minutes of
We've
wit
already talked about
and
design,
wisdom,
kitchen design,
kitchen, books,
New Year, how Becca cleaned out her basement,
George
books we've
McDonald.
been reading, how we don't understand George McDonald all the
Christmas
way.
tree cleanup,
Um,
all of
anything
our
else?
best thoughts.
How my funky Tupperware needs to look good in my new kitchen. Is there anything else?
We covered many
basically
things.
covered all the things you've been wondering about, and and then we lost the recording, so
We
we're
don't
starting
know why.
over.
It's like it just
Well,
disappeared
Our
off
high
the planet.
tech work is not always
As high tech as all that.
Yeah, we don't always win. So
Our soundproof booth that we sit in with our headsets.
What?
What are
So
you? Oh.
I just sorry. And now I started.
She's caught up in her Instagram feed, I think.
Yep, nope, this is a problem with an Apple Watch, is sometimes you get an alert that means nothing, and I'm not used to it, so it starts buzzing on your, on your wrist, and you're like, what's happening? But nothing important is happening. It's alright, guys. So, we're looking, we asked you all to tell us any good homemaking, housekeeping, organizing, beautifying,
home management books.
women's work.
I laughed about this. I didn't really consider it. I saw it and I thought, oh, it's the new year. Maybe I should read that book, Beauty at Home, which is like a $60 hardback coffee table book that is written by the granddaughter of Estee Lauder, and I suspect it's mostly a lot of lifestyle shots of life in the Hamptons in multi-million-dollar settings.
We need to find something that's between that,
yes,
and a homemaking book about how to make things out of
Toilet
Ponderosa
paper
pine needles. Like quilted
somewhere
vests.
in between.
The quilted vests and fabric toppers for your canned goods. We need it to be somewhere between those two. Give us a homemaking...
Something that's like inspiring and
We
helpful.
ask very little. We want insights that we've never heard before. Inspiration. And... Oh, Reach! What?
This might be the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Gross.
I take it back. You did not miss everything.
Okay.
You did not miss the time that Becca was trying to put her hair in a ponytail, and I thought she broke her hairband, but actually she just saw the dead fly on her leg.
You guys have been in the basement for like several hours digging out boxes and
And
lugging
apparently
things.
pressing dead flies
And I
on
must
her
have
leg.
gotten a dead fly on my head.
Yeah.
And it just flitted out when I pulled my... Oh, gross. This is so gross.
Oh, my... Well, that's it for the day, guys.
I'm going to have to Lysol my head when I get home. So nasty.
All right, so
Oh, man.
what's in it for the new year for you, Beck?
Oh, well, in it for the new year.
I have a word.
Okay,
I have a word about words for your new year.
Like, don't trumpet them from the housetops?
No, just like, I have no problem at all. We've gone through a lot of different phases where we have like a slogan or a like, this is what we're doing right now, kind of a game plan. So like the word of the year in that sense, when people are like, I'm choosing this word.
Yeah.
Sure. Go for it. But don't imagine for a hot minute that you really have anything to do with what defines your year. Like that you can just forecast prosperity into your new year. Like we respond to what God has for us, right? Obediently, hopefully, not just sort of.
There's also just the let not him who puts on his armor boast like him who takes it off. Like, if you're gonna buckle up and be a new human starting tomorrow, great. More power to you. But I would wait and let everyone notice for themselves rather than telling them all in advance.
I'm going to lose, what was it? Someone was sharing that meme about, I was going to lose 15 pounds this year, only 20 to go. And sometimes, you don't want to have set out your goals in such a way that failure is inevitable, and you just like when you're committing yourself to work, recognize it's going to be work. You can't just decide to feel better and be better and act better and have a better time all year. You can't do that. You're gonna have to work on that.
Yeah.
But I have to say, so I've been posting on Instagram because my identity book is coming out sometime, so it's on my mind. So then I've been talking with people about it. So then it's somehow spiraled into me posting things from the Department of Hell No.
Yeah.
Which I acknowledge freely now amuses me too much. Like using the pants on fire emojis and calling it the Department of Hell No is a blessing in my life. It makes me laugh. But what I was going to say about this is that one that I posted today was about it was a dumb one about mothering, but it was the original post that I saw was connecting it to self-care. It was connecting it to
that
it was one about remember you were someone before you were their mother and that person matters or something like that. And it was saying, so therefore spend quality time on yourself.
Yeah.
Spend time on yourself. And I just want to say that I understand some Christians who have pushed back on that a little bit with but there's nothing wrong with spending some time caring for yourself. And I'm of course there's nothing wrong with spending time caring for yourself, but that is not something that is aside from your duties. Do you know what I mean? Your duties of being able to rest and glorify God in your rest and glorify God in reading a novel or glorifying God in taking a bath, glorifying God by relaxing and being ready for your work next. That's not separate from your duties.
No.
That's also a Christian duty, is to rest in the Lord and to be and so I feel like when you say no to self-care, people always hear that as no to anything but mopping. Or slaving around after your children, or no to anything but,
it's not that. It's just no to being a self-centered, narrow-minded person.
Even when you are actively pursuing refreshing yourself, even when you're you know what, I'm going to go do this, it should be glorifying to God.
Yeah.
It should never be, I hate those kids. Yeah. So I'm going to go sit in my bedroom with the door locked and
also
have a minute.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I guess I'm just trying to say self-care is a completely different proposition.
And there's also
and I don't mean eating healthy or exercising or any of those things can all be part of your regular duties of honoring God in your work.
Yeah.
That's not something that I'm not saying your duties are playing with your children and that's it. And if you try ever to get
shower.
Showering is off limits for the Christian mother. I don't feel that way at all. But I think weirdly we've let our culture tell us that things like reading or putting your feet up or whatever is somehow taking a break from this menial work that's bad for you or something.
The thing I also dislike about it is this idea that there's one you tucked away in the back of the closet, and then there's this you out here
that has to deal with the dang kids.
That Much Ado About Nothing, where the prince proposes to Beatrice and she says, no, not unless I could have another for working days. Your grace is too costly to wear every day. And it's people think that. There's the precious me in the china cabinet, and I don't get her out often enough.
There's poor wonderful me who always looks good. I've been really not helping her lately. I need to pursue that.
And then there's me screaming at the children. That's not...
That's their fault.
Yes, exactly. And it's sort of no.
I find I've been testy and ugly and gaining weight, that's not the real me.
No.
That is, in fact, someone else's job.
The real me is preserved in my Instagram
The real me is
feed.
only the best of everything. It's only the highlights of my best. Like, that's it. That's the real one.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's like people can't think of, like, there's the authentic, real, pristine me that's locked away somewhere. I can't remember where I put her. And then this one is just a bad knockoff, and I hate this one.
Yeah, or this one is somehow in direct opposition to that one.
The other one.
Taking some of the finish off of my best self. It's really bizarre because this is just one of those things that I think, you read that quote. Well, I did. I already said it. But I think it's, remember you were someone before you were their mother. Accurate? Yes. Yeah. There was a you before you were their mother. And that person matters too, or something. Whatever that is. And that person matters. Well, no. Wrong. That person mattered at that time in so much as that person was obeying God. That person. But I think this is something that what I was trying to say is that your best self is obedient to God. Like, regardless of your situation. And this is why this is a really important Christian truth. Because when you talk about, like, we're talking that quote, this whole conversation, we're talking in a really shallow, in a world of where it's all blessings. But if you were a Christian in communist China right now, that had your children taken from you, had your home taken from you, had your church taken from you, and you're in jail getting strip searched, you are no less you before God. Like, you could have your whole life torn apart, and it is not that the old you mattered in some more precious way than the new you matter. Like, there's continuity here, and your obedience to God is what gives you your true self and your value and all of this. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is we get all messed up in it, and really little, you know what I mean? Like, we're tripping up over how to handle our blessings.
Yeah.
And that this truth is really important for any time there is a trial. Like say that you have cancer. You don't say, remember that you were someone before you had cancer and she matters too. Like, what kind of help is that? Like, what kind of horrible comfort? I think
too that like, for Christians who are obedient and walking with the Lord, not actively throwing themselves deeper into sin, because, I mean, there is that. But for Christians who are walking with the Lord, you assume that God is working on your sanctification, and it's a process. Mm-hmm. And to want to rewind and go back is to be deeply ungrateful for the story he's telling in your life.
Well, right, because if you were taking on a big project and you're like building a wall of bricks, can you imagine wanting to go down and be like, let's drop this thing down 20 feet further, knock it all off the top.
But, like, let's say that now you're, like, encrusted in bitterness and bad attitudes and resentments and deep envies. Like, let's say that you have that, but you remember back when you were 18 and you were actually walking with the Lord.
When the world seemed possible and things seemed hopeful.
Or when you didn't have a backlog of unconfessed sin and stuff, and it's sort of like, I remember that me and I like that me better. It's like, okay, well, there's an easy fix. You can get on your knees.
Why don't you go the route of confessing? And I actually think,
get rid of that.
But I think a big part of it is this fear that we're not taking into account the fact that we actually are aging and dying.
That's what I mean.
Like you're not going to be the same person.
No, and that's, like, God is actually creating something in you. He's turning you into something. He's making you into the image of his son. And that is a continuum. And you are still the same person, but you're farther down the road. And so to want to turn back around and go back is ungrateful, but it's also just profoundly missing the point, which is thinking that earlier version of you was optimal.
Well, like, somehow you've actually managed. And I think because the older I get, the more I have realized how weird age is, because the more you realize that it is true when people say that weird incongruity that you actually don't feel old. That you don't feel like you should be old. Like, that your body ages when you are not aging in the way that you think. It does not correspond.
Yeah.
And that is a design feature that God put in. And as we become more like him, we are becoming, in many ways, healthier and younger, and, you know, like, things are becoming much, much better on the inside as the outside is falling apart. And Lord willing, as we get older and older and more ready to be with him, we will be more and more conformed into the image of his son, and that is a rightness. It's becoming, it's like working towards where we're supposed to be living.
But I also think when people think that of like, I was someone before I was their mother, and that person matters. Like when you're in that, if you're in the grip of that sort of discontent, I think usually people are thinking of the most superficial things about themselves, meaning their pant size, their hairdo, and what they got to do in the evenings.
or like how fun everything seemed. Because sometimes I think there's a reality that when you're naive, they don't see the weight of, like, the consequences of other people's sin. They don't see the weight. You know, there's that little high point where you think nothing is going to go wrong.
Yeah, but I just mean, like, there's actually quite a lot of sort of interesting patina that's been added, probably, over the years.
Yeah.
Of life experience. But the thing is usually people are thinking about something as superficial as that. They're not thinking about, have I gained wisdom over the years? Have I gained in godliness? Have I gained in, like, proficiency?
Have I gained in understanding of God's faithfulness to me and his character? And
have I gotten better at life? Have I handled? And if the answer is no, I haven't gained wisdom, I haven't gained proficiency, and I'm not handling life, well, then you might need to do an inventory. Hey, it's New Year's Eve. It's a great time for an inventory.
Perfect time for New Year's resolutions. Although I do have to say, the one thing that I love about the Bible reading challenge, and I hope a lot of you are all doing this, is that this is a great moment to be like, hey, we're 40% of the way done with the Bible. Keep at it. Instead of, let's try to read our Bibles this year. Like, say, it's really like, and I think it's a fun way to think about things, is say, not like, here's my resolution for the new year, but what can I begin faithfully working on such that in a year it will be just keep on with that instead of let's try to start a whole new thing.
Yeah.
You know, that idea of this year, let's be a completely different person.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, next year I'm going to be Aaron Lauder in the Hamptons.
I love that. I love that quote. Oh, it's like little stick figures. That meme that's like December 1st to the 25th, like, it's like, I don't know what it was, excitement parties, and then it was like the 25th through the 31st, full of cheese, doesn't know what day of the week it is. Like, completely lost. Like, what are we even doing? It's so true, because it's like the weirdest time of year.
Yeah.
Where you're like, every day, it's just, what is happening? What is this? What's the plan? Anyways.
Yep. It's true.
But it sets you up for the perfect new year. Like, here comes the new year, and now I'm going to drink tons of water. I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to lose tons of weight. I'm going to not be that person who forgets to do the laundry. It's going to be incredible. I'm going to be, all those ideas that we have. I love how futile it all is, but how much we're supposed to be trying, and how much it's totally futile.
Nonetheless a reality that we're like, okay,
all right, it's time to get going on
your
this
hands
new
off
year.
And tackle it and get dead flies in your hair.
Was that in your hair?
That's why I was freaking out, Rach. I think it was on my
head.
Because
I thought you just saw it on your pants.
I took my hair down.
That's so gross.
I know.
I was like, I don't know that's the worst thing that's ever happened to you. It's pretty funny, but
I took my messy bun off the top of my head, and then
guys, in 2019, try to not be someone with dead flies in your hair.
Try to be someone that has a basement that's already clean, so that you didn't have to do this.
Oh, well, I got a good picture of that dead fly for you to share.
Yeah, that's so sick, right? It's like, hopefully it's not emblematic of my year.
Yeah, it won't be. This is still the old year.
You're right.
We haven't made it to the new year yet. So
Yeah,
it'll be
my
okay.
word of the year is
I feel like we're going to
fly
need
carcass.
That's the worst that comes. You're doing pretty good.
I know. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah. So, what books are you going to read this year?
Yeah, we already
What's your exercise schedule going to be this year?
What's a regime? Oh, no, what books am I going to read? No, everybody's sending around these lists of, here comes my list of books that I'm going to read in 2019, and I'm like, oh,
Whoa, guys.
that's
Whoa.
organized.
Since when are we like that?
I know. Really, I tend to read books.
My goal for 2019 is to just live minute by minute.
Yeah, live in the moment, Rach. Seize that moment.
Seize all the moments that you're in.
Now, I read books that I have to read for teaching. And so I'm in books a lot. Well, I'm in books every day, but there are books that I know well. And then when I go on a trip with Ben, usually that's the moment where I sit down on the plane and you have this moment of, well, it's too late now. If I didn't leave proper instructions for the sub, I will text them, or something.
Yeah.
So you sit down on the plane and then it's like, okay, now maybe I'll read something. So I pull something up on my phone or Kindle or whatever, but I'm not organized of like, here's my pile. I'm gonna rummage through that.
Well, I have a lot of books that I want to read that I already have the books. So every once in a while I go through and pull out things that I meant to read and like try to get going on it. But really I have to just get started and then it's like finding the right time.
Yeah. But I would like to get a nice...
got me another needlepoint.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I felt a little challenged by this because last year for Christmas he got me a needlepoint and I did it and I finished it before. I was like, it's going to be a 1 year. I'm going to get it done. So then he got me a new one and it's bigger. And I was like, what is this? Some kind of a throwdown challenge? So
that's fun though.
It is fun. It's super pretty. I love it. So
No, I would like to have a good book recommend, guys, on something. Yeah. New Year's Eve organizational.
Okay. I'm going to read one that's an office book that Luke has for me to read.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It sounds pertinent to me because it's called...
bond with those kinds of books.
I do. I always find there's so much info in there that I needed.
Yeah, I don't. You curate them for me and you give me the highlights.
The takeaways. Well, this one's called something like Things Don't Have to Be Crazy at Work.
That does sound relevant.
Yeah,
now that you say
I
that.
thought it was sounding relevant. I was like, I bet there's some takeaways that I want in this one. Even though work is my whole life.
One of the things
I think that there is.
That we've been doing for a couple months that I really like. It's working for me. But, is sitting down at night to figure out what are my tasks for tomorrow, that like the big 3. What are the top 3 I need to get done tomorrow? Then writing them down the night before, then looking at them in the morning, and then assessing them and checking off or not checking off before dinner. So it's kind of like, it actually is helpful. It breaks it out for me. So it's like before bed, look at tomorrow, figure it out. So it's kind of fresh. In the morning, look at it. And then at dinner, look at it like, did I get it done? See, today's a prime example of me straying off of the big 3 because what was on my to-do today was finish all the tile in my coat room and grout it.
But what is she doing instead? Podcasting.
I'm podcasting after
I'm going to take a picture of this.
It's beautiful. We're sitting in a really lovely spot today.
We're sitting near the house that we're building.
It's quite pretty, and it's starting to be that late afternoon sun. But anyway, I was, instead of tiling, I started just picking up the last few Christmas things and carrying them to the basement, and then getting distracted by trying to reorganize some things in the basement, and then fill up the back seat with a thrift store run, and then, that happened, and I still haven't gone to the tile. But I will, guys. When I get home, I will tile the floor real fast. Except for the hardware store's closed, so I can't buy grout. What you doing there?
Well, that's a bummer that you can't buy grout.
No, but I already have some mastic, so I can at least get maybe some tile down.
Okay.
I finished my border everyone. Praise report.
When Becca finishes her tile, I'll hire her to come do the tile at my house.
You
just
know,
in a chip by chip.
I feel like once I finish this darned coat room, I'm going to have to give a sort of quick iPhone tour that we can post of, hey, everybody, I've talked about it enough.
Yeah,
Here's
that'd be
my
fun.
tile.
And we talked in the part that you missed in the beginning when we were talking about design. We were talking about
We had a good
talk about design too, guys.
good observations.
But the thing I was trying to say is I have a big problem. I'm thinking a lot about the kitchen in our new house, and the problem that I have is that I want it to look like it meant to be doing what our kitchen will be doing.
Yeah.
And all of the
Form
designy,
and function,
every
Rach.
designy thing I
Form
can
and
find.
function.
Yeah, and every designy thing I can find anywhere that you look at just looks like that's a kitchen that's just there to look. It's not there to do anything.
Yep.
And even if they try to make it look busy by putting some sliced lemons on the counter, you're like, slicing lemons is not the same thing as cooking.
No. And there's always like big bunches of amazing looking produce.
Yeah, but none of the carnage that goes. Like, it's the lemons with no meringue mess. There's no dribbles of the egg whites here and there and that. And, there's just...
Oh, I have a word, guys. This is not relevant to what you were saying, but it actually reminds me of it. So, this is my husband discovered this. He was having a rummage in the kitchen the other day for, it's the week between Christmas and New Year's.
We're just eating cheese.
Well, yeah, but also when we ran out of all the foods and I was in the middle of tiling something. So he's like, I'll make an omelet. So I said, great. So he went in to make an omelet, but then he just decided to tap into a Cook's Illustrated omelet technique that he just pulled out. I have a pile of Cook's Illustrated in my kitchen. So, seriously? Show-stopping this omelet. Like,
I feel like I've done Cook's Illustrated omelets.
Even the same at all. It was really good. It was, like, shockingly amazing.
So tell us, what's the deets on this?
Well, I didn't watch him do it. I was trying to talk him into making me another one this morning, but then we wandered off and did something else. I can't remember what, but it's 2 eggs plus an egg yolk.
Oh, yeah.
And then
I have done this.
You stir it with chopsticks in the pan and then add frozen butter.
Nope, I have not done that.
It's like...
I like how that sounded for a minute, like chopsticks.
Yeah.
So...
it is a stupid lot of work, but it yields an omelet.
Okay, so I think we've done some Cook's Illustrated one where you add the extra yolk and sometimes a little bit of cream maybe, and then... But you put it in the pan and then you kind of gently move it so it keeps moving the uncooked egg into the... like you kind of... Until it sets up enough, you're kind of pulling it around to make sure that that's all getting in there evenly. But I used to do that. The problem is...
This is like off the burner, on the burner, cover it, take it off.
Yep, nope, we didn't
Take it out for 2 minutes, put it back in.
Ben will have to come over and do that for us.
No, it is a stupid fiddle-dee-dee recipe, but you've never had it anything like the texture is like
really good,
really different than a normal. And all it was like some shallots, I think, and a little bit of cheese, and that's it. Like no filling.
I have a big group feeding tip for everyone. This will be the tips time. We're gonna have to wrap this up because I have to get home. It's gonna have to be early, shorty.
I have to tile the floor, guys.
This is my tip. Because we hosted Christmas dinner this year, and it was
amazing, by the way.
And I made green beans with a green bean recipe with hazelnuts and parsley, I guess, in the green beans.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good.
But this was the thing; it blessed me multiple times over.
Okay,
I bought those Costco green beans. This is like treat yourself to easy peel potatoes level.
Yeah,
the Costco, the little skinny pretty green beans in the bag. I bought those, and then like a full day, or maybe it was 2, I don't know what day I did that, 2 days before or a day before, I'm not sure. I took all of them out of the bag and trimmed the ends, like just hold a big fistful, trim the ends and blanched them all.
Okay.
And then packed them in the fridge and had them. So they were totally ready to throw on the pan and roast. So there was no last minute trying to trim the beans situation. We had already gone through them and gotten weird ones out and done did all of that. Having them all blanched and ready to just be roasted was that really gave me a lot of pleasure.
It
was a lot of like, look, they're so ready.
I actually had a number of those prep in advance moments with the NSA Christmas party that we did where I just felt so pleased to know that it was already done and in the fridge in advance.
It changes your feelings.
Yeah, it makes it feel like anything is possible.
All right, so it's a new year, a new you, and a new what have you.
And it's only 30 minutes because we missed the first 21.
Well,
actually,
trust us, we've already talked too much today.
Yeah,
actually
it happened. So you're gonna just 30 minutes and we're done. We're
calling it quits for 2018.
We're leaving.
We'll talk to you next year.
Next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You think of yourself now, and then in 4 years' time, what do you want yourself to look like? And is the education that you're considering going to help you get to that place?
When you're a student, you want to become like your teacher. You're going to become like your teacher. Looking at NSA beforehand, I knew I wanted to become like the men who are teaching here.
Fireman, husband, father, doctor, no matter where you want to go, NSA is just such good preparation for the person that you want to be.
If you want to be an effective Christian, you need to be able to lead and shape culture. If you want to do that, no matter what your occupation is, you need to shape yourself, prepare yourself as a person for that job. And liberal arts is, I think, the best education you can have for that.
To learn more, check us out online at nsa.edu.